And now you can see the AI chat widget is available and it is also customized. Now I'll ask my, and now I have added memory. That means this chat widget should now have the memory where it can remember the previous conversation. Now it says, I can provide you business consultation to help your customer service AI chatbot. So that means it now knows the context and it has access to the memory. If you are an executive or a business owner or any tech enthusiast, you probably already know the importance of business process automations or workflow automations for your business or for your work. Having AI agents integrated into your workflow automation can provide you a massive benefit in terms of automating any complex business workflow. And that's what we are going to explore in this video using open source workflow and AI automation tools. Hi, my name is Avijit. You are watching Node Together, where I try to simplify latest tech and innovation for your future and your business. Let's get started. Welcome back. This is the second episode of the two-part video where I am trying to create an AI agent chatbot with its own memory using open source workflow automation tool called N8N. If you have straight landed into this video, you can click on your right top to see the first part of the video where I have done installation and a complete walkthrough of the N8N interface. If you have already watched it, or if you have been using N8N in your workflow already, then please continue to watch this video. In this video, we are going to first check out the design and the architecture of the AI agent chatbot that we are going to build for my website. Then, based on the design, we are going to create a quick Q&A AI agent using Vector Database as its knowledge base. After that, we will integrate the Q&A AI agent with an conversational AI agent with its own memory, so that it can remember user interactions when it will be used as an AI chatbot for my website. As part of the video, you will also be able to see how to integrate an chatbot widget into any website. And then I'll show you how I have set up N8N in AWS very briefly to compare the cost and the benefit. Hopefully, the video will have a lot of valuable information for you. If you find value in the video, please make sure to hit that like button to satisfy YouTube algorithm, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel because I generally try to bring this kind of valuable content for you. With that said, let's get started. So this is both the component diagram as well as the detailed architecture diagram that we are going to build here. So this is my existing website, and on top of the website, we will host our chatbot. Now, when user will come into my website and start to use chatbot and ask any question, the chatbot widget will contact the conversational AI agent through a REST API. The conversational AI agent will have its own memory from where it can fetch any previously saved conversation tied to that specific session with that user. So now at this stage, the conversational AI agent knows the context to respond to the user. Now, if the conversational AI agent thinks that it needs to fetch information from its knowledge base, it will call the Q&A AI agent. The Q&A AI agent will connect to the vector database to fetch any relevant information that it needs to fetch based on the query. Of course, both conversational AI agent and QA AI agent will use external AI API like OpenAI API or maybe other vendor, or if you are hosting everything in local, it can even use locally hosted large language model. And that's what make N8N very powerful and efficient for any local use case. Point to be note here that this red box is my server. So under this server, or let's say my desktop, I am running a Docker container. So this AI agent, Q&A AI agent, the memory, everything will be running as part of the N8N Docker container. Now, one of the key components that you should also configure is reverse proxy, especially if you're thinking to make an AI chatbot for your public facing website. In the reverse proxy, you can actually filter out requests. For example, you can only allow requests to the conversational AI agent REST API, but nothing else. So in a way, you can protect your workflow automation engine or this container from being exposed to the public to safeguard it from malicious users. Now that I have discussed the architecture diagram, we will straight away go to the N8N interface and we'll start to create the modules. Okay, so as per the architecture, we have to first start up our N8N Docker container, which I have already done now here. As you can see, the N8N is running with the Postgres. If you're really not sure how to do that, please check out the part 1 of this video series. You should be able to run N8N in your local system in no time. And as a next step, we need to set up our vector database. For this demo, we are going to use Supabase as our vector database provider. So basically we'll go to Supabase and we are going to do a sign up. Okay, so now we have logged in into the Supabase console. We are going to click new project. We'll name it workflow QA agent, create new project. Now that my project is created, we have to next create the table where we will store the knowledge base. Okay, so now we'll go to SQL editor. We'll just click quick start. Here you will see an option called LangChain. So this is just a template to create your table for the vector database. So here I will change it to 1024. And this is also 1024. The reason is because we are not going to use OpenAI embedding for this demo. I'll show you later why we are changing to 1024. Just click run and you see it's success. So you go back to the table and you will see the document table is created. Now the next thing that we have to do, we will go to an website called Cohere. Now Cohere is another AI API provider like OpenAI, but they provide API key for free for trial use. Trial keys are free of charge, but they are rate limited and it cannot be used for commercial purpose. Please make a note of this. So we'll create new trial key and just copy the trial key, come to my N8N terminal, just create like add workflow. So the first step that we'll do is we'll click on manual. So at this stage, we are just going to create the vector embeddings of my knowledge base. What I'm going to do is use the Cohere model just to save my credential. So I'll just save it. This is green. That means my N8N is able to connect to Cohere API successfully. That's good. So now what we will do is we'll click pros and we'll use an HTTP request node. Now what I have done is I have taken all this information about my consulting service and the privacy policy as my knowledge base, and then I have created a PDF which looks like this. So what we are going to do is take this PDF, come here and just give the link here. So this HTTP request node will download the PDF. Let's test it. Yeah, so it's able to download the file, as you can see. Then what we will do is we'll use a Supabase vector store. Now I have to create the credential for the Supabase. I'll come here into the Supabase dashboard. In the home, I will see the project URL. I'll copy it, paste it here, and I'll copy the API key. Again, paste it here as the role secret. Click save, and you can see it's able to connect to my Supabase instance. Now what I'll do is I will insert documents. As you can see, it's showing the table. So I'll select the documents table that I have just created on the Supabase account and then hit back. Then for the embedding, I'm going to use Cohere embedding. If you see, I have selected the Cohere API account that I have just saved some time back with the Cohere trial key. And then in the model, I will select the embed English Lite. Now they have all these three options, but with the trial API key, they provide support for 1024 dimension. And this was the reason why when we have created the table, I changed the vector embedding dimension to be 1024 rather than 1536, because 1536 dimension is used by OpenAI embedding. So my embedding is selected. Delete this node. And for the document parsing, I'll use default data loader. I'm going to use binary and I'm going to use PDF. So this data loader will load the PDF file that's been downloaded by the HTTP request module. And then for the text splitter, I'm going to use recursive character text splitter. I'm going to set the chunk size as 1000. So basically what is going to happen is the document loader will load the PDF document, and then the text splitter is going to split every 1000 character from the document. So let's say if the document has 5000 character, it's going to split every 1000 character and before it creates the embedding with the Cohere embedding API. I'm also specifying 200 chunk overlap. This is just to ensure that when it is going to split the 1000 character, it may just split middle of the word for a sentence. I don't want my vector embedding to have incomplete words, incomplete sentence or context. That is why I am using an overlap of 200 words. You can use 300 or 200, whatever you think is best for you. Now that's all done. What's going to happen is I'm going to save it and I'm going to hit test workflow. Oh, I haven't connected it. Okay, I'm going to save it again and hit test workflow. And there you go. So now if I go back to the Supabase, click on documents, I am able to see the context, the metadata, and the embedding that has been saved here in the database. And that's good. That means our knowledge base is already vectorized and stored into Supabase. Now, the next step is we are going to create the Q&A agent, which will refer to this vector database and fetch the knowledge as it needs to, answer any query by the users. For that, we are going to come back to the workflow, create another workflow, website Q&A AI agent. Our trigger node will be chat trigger, and then we are going to use Q&A chain. For the model, we are going to use the Cohere model, and we are going to use the same Cohere API account. Because we are on the trial key, we are probably going to use command nightly, which is available with the trial key for free. And then for the knowledge, because this is a question answer chain, we have to retrieve the knowledge. So we are going to use vector store retriever, set the limit to 4, and then for the vector store we are going to use Supabase Vector Store. We are going to use the documents, and then for the embedding again we are going to use Cohere embedding and use the 1024 dimension. Okay, so our website Q&A AI agent is ready just like that, and then let's test it. So I'm going to ask how much of it is charged for discovery consultancy session. So you see it's saying that discovery consultancy is priced at £5 for 15 minutes. So you can actually see how it is working. Is this Q&A answer chain is asking the vector store retriever to fetch the information that has connected to the vector store, because I have specified to only fetch up to 4 response. So it has fetched 4 response, which is using the similarity search, and then it has passed those information to the Cohere model with all this information that it has fetched from the knowledge base, and then the Cohere model have actually predicted the output that we have just seen. Okay, so our Q&A agent is working. So let's now create the chat widget for my website and see if that works. Okay, so for the chat widget, I have created a very simple HTML file to test it first locally, and then I'll integrate it with my website once all of these components are ready and tested in my local, right? So this is a very simple sample HTML page. What it is doing is basically just calling the webhook URL. I have opened it up. You are able to see the chat widget here. If I click here, the chat widget is opening up, but it's not giving me any option to write message or interact with the chat widget. If I do a quick introspect and maybe just refresh the page, I can see that it's throwing 500 error. Okay, I think that's because I haven't enabled my chat trigger. So I have to enable it. So once you make this chat trigger publicly available, you will get the endpoint here. So what you have to do is come back here and update the URL there, and from hosted chat we will set to embedded chat, because the chat widget is embedded into the HTML page. I haven't enabled the workflow, so I have now activated it, so it should now be accessible. So if I now go here and again refresh, now I'm able to see the input area for users to interact. Now if I refresh it and let me ask the same question, now it's throwing empty response. But if I see the network trace, I'm able to see that there was some response coming in the response text, and this is because the chat widget expect the response as output, not as response text. So for that reason, what we have to do is go back here and add a edit field node, and then I'll add a field called output, and I'll use the output from the text here, and I'll select no input field. So that means it's only going to output it. So the JSON should look like this instead of response text, and then save it. And then if I come back to the widget again and refresh it, let's ask the session. I have asked what all consultancy service you provide, and it has come up with the proper answer. Now if we want to see the execution, should be able to see that. So this is the question that came in from the chat widget, and this is the response. Now that's all good, but there is a problem with this service. For example, so let's say if I say, hi, my name is John, I want to create a customer AI chatbot for my website, and then it say, I'd be happy to help you with the consultation, and then I say, what services can you offer for my use case? And now it has responded that I can offer a variety of services for your business need, etc, etc. Please specify what your use case is. Now you can see that it doesn't have any memory, it doesn't remember any context, where I have already given my use case here in the previous chat, but because this doesn't have any memory, it cannot remember what the context of this conversation is, and that's what we are going to fix with the AI conversational agent. Now based on our design, the conversational AI agent will have a memory which will help to remember the context, and this will call the Q&A AI agent to retrieve information from the vector database as and when needed. So now we will build the conversational AI agent, and then we will give this conversational AI agent a capability to call the Q&A AI agent all within the workflow automation interface. Let's build that. So we come here and we create another workflow, and we name it Conversational Website AI Chatbot. Now this will be very simple. We will have a chat trigger, and again we'll make it the chat public. We'll use an embedded chat option, and then we will add an AI agent, make it a conversational AI agent. Now for this AI agent, we can use any of this chat model. You can even use Olama if you are running it on your local, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to use the OpenAI chat model to do it very quickly. I'll use the OpenAI account that I've already configured, and For the memory, I'm going to use a buffer memory. Now you shouldn't use the buffer memory for production use cases. This is only for the demo. So basically what will happen is the N8N will use the Windows buffer memory to save the context of the conversation, and it will only save up to like 5 last conversation between the user and the AI chatbot. And then we are going to introduce a tool, and we will use this custom N8N workflow tool. As per the diagram, the AI agent should call the Q&A AI agent. Now our Q&A AI agent is already configured in a separate workflow. What we want to do is the conversational AI agent to call this Q&A AI agent using this custom N8N workflow tool. So we will open the N8N in another window to open this Q&A agent, and we remove this chat trigger because we do not need the chat trigger. Rather, we would use this execute workflow, and we use this as the trigger. And then if you come here we have to specify the workflow ID. So we'll copy this workflow ID, give it here, and we give it a name called search knowledge base. So we'll give it a description that call this tool to search knowledge base to answer relevant users query. This tool expects JSON input and provide JSON output. So basically when you use a custom N8N workflow tool as part of AI agent, then AI agent, when it calls the tool, it usually sends the JSON input as query. So that is why what we have to do is come here, and instead of JSON chat input, we have to change it to query. Then we will save it. So this will ensure that when this AI agent will call the Q&A AI agent, it will call it through the custom N8N workflow tool, and then it will send it as JSON.query. So that will be read in the Q&A answer chain, and the Q&A answer chain will retrieve it from the vector database and send it back to the AI agent, and AI agent will be able to then answer. So here the response property is output, because you remember we have set the edit field, the final step to be the output. The one last thing that we have to do is we will add some memory. So we will select this load previous session, and we'll say from memory. So this is how we will add memory to the chat trigger, and we will add this memory to the Windows buffer memory. So that means whenever we will open the chat widget for any particular session, it will try to load last 5 chat interactions, and it will load it from the Windows buffer memory. I hope that makes sense to you. The same memory will be also used by the AI agent when it will draft the response. So finally, we are just going to activate this. We are going to copy this URL, come here and change this here. So now our chat widget in this index.html will point to the AI conversational agent, and the AI conversational agent will call the Q&A agent as it needs. So everything is set up. Now it's time to test. So now if you see, I have given this information first that I want to create a customer service chatbot for this website, because I haven't enriched my knowledge base on how to create a customer service chatbot. The OpenAI model have came up with a vague answer, really very generalized answer. If you check the executions here, this was the first conversation where it says I want to create a customer service chatbot. The OpenAI chat model in its first response has tried to search the knowledge base, but when it searches the knowledge base, the Q&A agent basically says, I don't know if the business has a customer service chatbot, as this information is not included in the context. So basically it did not find anything from the vector database, and that is where the AI conversational chatbot has created a very generalized response. Then I searched what services you offer which can help on my business case, and that is where again these AI agents have tried to use the custom workflow tool to get the business services that we offer. And here it has got the response from the Q&A knowledge base about all the services that we offer, and that response was specific to that. But again, it did not had any specific context in that response. That's where I asked, can it help in my business needs? And then it says, yes, assistant can help with wide range of business need. It can provide information on various topics, including customer service chatbots. That means it now remembers the context that I have been using in this entire conversation, because in the third response, it actually didn't call the workflow tool because it could find all the information that it needs from the memory itself, and then it has responded basically. Now if you look at our architecture diagram, we have created our conversational AI agent. We have also created our memory. We have created the Q&A AI agent and the vector database. So now we are ready to host this solution to my website. But the problem is, at the moment, I am running my N8N workflow automation tool in my local system. There is no direct way my website will be able to connect to my local system, call this workflow. And for that reason, what we have to do is either we have to make our local installation available through internet, or what we have to do is install this workflow automation tool into AWS or similar other cloud provider and set up the same workflow there, and then make my website call to that workflow AI agent. So I have an AWS EC2 instance running within a free tier. So just to let you know, if you're not aware, that AWS provide free tier where it allows you to run an T2 micro EC2 instance for up to about 1 year, all for free. So if I go back to the diagram, this entire box is currently now running within AWS, and then I have installed an Nginx as a reverse proxy outside of the N8N workflow automation tool, where I restrict the access through a specific URL, and in this Nginx configuration I allow a specific course domain so that the AI chatbot from my website can only access this workflow automation tool. Just so you know, any workflow that you create within your local environment, you can actually export it. So you can just click download and it will download the entire workflow as JSON file. And similarly, I have went into the AI conversational agent workflow and I downloaded it there as JSON file. And all I have done is I went to my AWS hosted N8N, and then I have opened up my AWS hosted N8N, and after that I have imported the saved JSON files to import the AI agents and saved it. So I have already done so. That's why you see this note together chat and chat website workflow to be already loaded there. This is just have imported the JSON file as I have created the workflow in my local N8N instance. If you are running an WordPress website and you want to embed this widget, what you have to do is to edit your theme file editor, and then you just need to add this function script, just similar to what we have done here, but this is more like a WordPress function. And there are some extra bits that you can add there as well, like initial message. If you want to set a custom color of the widget, you can do all those customization. The widget will be available, and when you click it, it will show the customized name. So if you compare this with the name that it was showing here, it was the default name, because this index.html didn't had the extra customization option that I have used here in this Python function. So if you join the Discord or my Patreon page for free, you should be able to get this entire workflow JSON file that I had exported and also imported in my AWS N8N instance completely for free. However, the code to update your WordPress website and the production like AWS setup, where I have used an Nginx as a reverse proxy, applied all the custom filtering. I have also done the network hardening to make sure that my AWS instance is secure. I have also done the security hardening of the Nginx proxy and all the AWS network hardening to ensure only few ports are allowed. All those configurations I have paid behind a paywall just to support this channel to grow, and I can continue make the content. So if you're looking to set up your AWS EC2 instance with N8N node, check out the link in the description. And if you want, please make a purchase of the production like solution that you can use for any of your N8N workflow in the future. This is just to help support this channel grow. So if you really need it, please make a purchase and help this channel to grow. However, this diagram and all this workflow automation node is already available as a JSON file in the Discord and Patreon. So please make use of those links as you need it. If you really find value in this informative video, please hit the like to the video to make it reach to the other audience, and make sure subscribe to the channel as I generally bring such content for completely free for you. With that said, I am going to end this video. Please take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.